Good afternoon. This is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, and I am going to bring you what's happening with the state of California and the lawsuit. And it's a criminal lawsuit, not a civil lawsuit, against the Trump administration because they broke the Posse Comitatus law. Posse Comitatus says that military troops cannot be used against the citizens of the United States of America. And Trump did use Marines and National Guard. So this is an interesting, I'm not going to go all of it, but it's definitely interesting. Here you go.
A criminal trial against the Trump administration that starts today, this week, in Judge Breyer's courtroom in San Francisco is just not getting enough attention. It's historic. It's unprecedented. It's the first case against an administration under the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 because the allegations by Governor Newsom against the Trump administration are that by using federal troops on the ground in California for civilian enforcement operations during the protests related to Donald Trump's immigration policy, that wasn't just authorized by the federalization or the commandeering statutes about when a president can commandeer the use of state National Guard. It crossed the line and became a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, for which that is not an exception. You're not going to be confused when I'm done with this hot take. The trial starts this week. I'm going to be doing daily updates about what's happening in the courtroom. There's no jury, only Judge Breyer, the brother of retired Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer. And you're on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popok. Let me give you the update. Chomping at the bit to start on this trial.
Don't mix pink salt with lemon and 2 other ingredients if you don't want to donate your entire wardrobe in less than a week.
Start on this trial. Now, let me back up. A couple of months ago, in June, the California Attorney General brought a case into Judge Breyer, you might have heard of, to stop the Trump administration from taking control and command of the California National Guard. It's their National Guard. There are limited exceptions when the federal government and the commander-in-chief can take control of it to commandeer it. California argued those exceptions were not present. Trump argued that they were, that he needed, among other things, federal troops to help him execute federal law that was being interfered with on the ground by protesters, and that was the argument. Judge Breyer, the trial court judge, after hearing argument and reading the briefs, ruled against the Trump administration originally. Well, actually, he ruled against the Trump administration. And he ruled that what Trump was doing was unconstitutional. He ruled that it was a violation of the 10th Amendment. These are powers reserved to the state. It violated the commandeering statute about when the circumstances that are limited that you can take over a state National Guard. He did not, however, and this is very important for this hot take, he did not rule on the Posse Comitatus Act violation alleged by California. So what went up on appeal to the Ninth Circuit by way of Donald Trump did not have the Posse Comitatus part. It only had the findings that it violated the commandeering statute, Section 1246. That's what went up to the 3-judge panel at the Ninth Circuit, which ultimately reversed the injunction issued by Judge Breyer on the commandeering of the National Guard issue only. And it was a 3-judge panel, 2 Republicans, 1 Trumper, and a Biden appointee, but 3-0, they said Breyer was wrong on that issue. But they did not discuss the Posse Comitatus because appellate courts can only talk about and address those things that were handled below. If it's not briefed below, if it's not addressed below, the trial judge is in the first position to make a ruling. So that happened. And we said at the time, but the Posse Comitatus Act issue is still present. Okay, let me read to you what the Posse Comitatus Act, currently embodied and memorialized in a U.S. code, 18 U.S.C. 1385, what it provides. Then I'll tell you where it came from, and then I'll tell you what's going to happen at this trial this week. Whoever, except in cases under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or an act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or the Space Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. Came out of an 1878 post-Reconstruction period after the Civil War. It was a way to resolve an election issue where the southern states of the former Confederacy were worried and continue to be worried that the Union, well, now the Union have been put back together again, but that the northern troops, the federal troops, would forever be present in their communities enforcing the law, and they did not want that. So Congress said, all right, we'll appease you in this area. We'll assure you that federal troops will not be used on domestic soil for law enforcement purposes. And they set up this fine and imprisonment function. It's never been tested before. It's from 1878. No president has ever tried to violate the Posse Comitatus Act. Question is, it runs up, as you can see, against a couple of interesting doctrines. The war powers of a commander-in-chief, the fact that appellate court has already ruled that he's allowed to commandeer the National Guard, but that's a separate issue for whether he can use the U.S. military troops along with the National Guard. And then 3, the immunity decision, the criminal immunity decision that the United States Supreme Court granted all presidents, mainly Trump, if he violates a criminal code while he's in office. He got immunity. You ever notice the signs of getting older creeping in? Poor sleep, low energy, maybe a little brain.
That's enough. I wanted you to get your fill of it. I'm going to try and catch the report every day about what's happening, and I'll bring it along and play it for you. So this is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie. Fuck Donald Trump. I hope the Posse Comitatus Act puts his butt in jail. And fuck the Supreme Court and their Supreme Commander rule that he can't be arrested or fined or anything. Yes, he can. If we want to, we can do it. Fuck you, Supreme Court. So anyway, fuck the Supreme Court, fuck Donald Trump, and fuck all the military men that follow his orders when they know they're wrong. I'm all for our military, but if you're in the Army, Navy, Space Force, Air Force, Marines, and you, Coast Guard, and you do this because Donald Trump is telling you that you're as much in the wrong as he is, you are violating Posse Comitatus, and you as an individual could be arrested and imprisoned for up to 2 years. So fuck everybody who's a military person who does what Donald Trump wants them to do if it violates the Posse Comitatus Act. Everybody else, Pox and more Jack, keep on trucking.